Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about if you are considering becoming a graphic designer or a website designer, which direction to go, benefits, pros, cons, all of that stuff to give you an inside look onto the day-to-day of what a graphic designer versus a web designer lifestyle is. Now, my background is a website designer, so I have much more vantage point on that side of it, but I do want to speak to you from both vantage points. When I first started, my best friends, two of my best friends were both graphic designers, and I was a bit insecure. Am I stepping into the right field? So 5 years later, I look back and I am very happy with the decision I made. So as we discuss this, I'm just going to cover some major differences so we have a clear understanding of what graphic design is versus website design, and then break down some other terms people use. When they talk about being a website designer, they might say front-end designer or front-end developer, or they might say UX, UI designer. There's all these different terms. And then when it comes to graphic design, people might say they do motion or animation or branding. So we're going to talk through that a little bit now. Now, as we begin, I do want to say this. If you've been thinking about this decision for more than a few months, my best advice before we even get any further in the video is to just start. You will never know which one you like more until you do it. So commit to 3, 6, or 9 months, maybe even a year, doing one of these, focus on it, graphic design or website design, and over time, if you need to make a shift or a change, you can. Some of you don't even need to continue in the video. That was your answer right there. So a graphic designer, probably a fancy definition, I'm just doing this off the top of my head, someone who designs logos, graphics, icons, puts typefaces together, different fonts together for a brand, creates brands, creates brand personalities, what are the values of the brand, things like that. You could even go to how does the brand communicate? And a graphic designer can also be a brand strategist. Those are definitely different roles the higher up you go. But in the process, when you get a call from a client, small business, and they say, I would like you to develop a brand for me, you will have to strategize for them. So you'll use tools like Photoshop or Illustrator or Figma or Sketch or any of those tools to design. Figma and Sketch are not necessarily for design, but I see a lot of designers, graphic designers, using it more and more. So if you open up your phone right now and you take a look at all the apps, all those little icons there, those are probably done by a graphic designer. When you go to a website, top left corner, there's a logo. That's probably done by a graphic designer. Then when you scroll through the website and you see the typefaces, and the big typeface is a dark black. It's not full black, but it's an off black. It looks really nice. And then the paragraph text, the smaller text, is like a light grayish blue if you're looking at like a software or technology company. Well, those are decided by the graphic designer. For one point, I do want to say the people who actually put it on a website, make it live on a website, are website designers, developers, UX, wireframes, any of that stuff. We'll get into that in a moment. But the people who design and say that should be that color or that size, the size of the font matters and how it's in proportion to other elements on the page, all of that is done by a graphic designer. And there are probably a million other things that graphic designers do, like creating brochures, business cards, things like that. So where the mix-up typically is people will go to a website and they will see a beautiful website and say, I want to create that. And they think they want to be a website designer. But in reality, they actually want to be a graphic designer, because the graphic designer is the one who created all the core elements that the web designer used to develop the site. Again, this is a huge generalization, depends on the size of the project, the scope, all of those things. Sometimes those roles are all combined, but in this case, to be very clear, if you are fascinated with the logo, the typeface, the size of the typeface, the colors, all of that stuff, the layers, how things sit with each other, that is graphic design. Now let's talk about website design. Now I love website design. Website design is where you take all these different elements of not just the brand, but the company, the business, the enterprise, the portfolio, whatever it may be, and then you bring it into a website. A website is a place that houses the content, makes it really easy to navigate, and gives a very clear direction for the user on what to do and where to go and how to access things, blah, 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 all of that stuff. Websites used to be very informational. Today, they are very directional. So when you land on someone's website, typically they're gonna point you to some call to action. Contact us, buy now, shop now, watch the video. There are so many different things that businesses can point you to in the process. This is where it all comes to life. So website design can include UI UX design. It can include web development. So say for example, just to separate those for a moment, UI UX could be a designer who puts together wireframes. Wireframes are not a live website. They are a prototype of what potentially could be a live website. And then when those prototypes or those wireframes are approved, and then a website developer can then develop those elements into a site where it is responsive, it shows up on Google, all of those things that needs to happen within the code. So again, a website designer could be a UI UX designer, it can be a web developer, it can also be someone who does copywriting. Copywriting could be part of a website designer. Now, if you just do copyright, that's totally different. But copywriting can be part of it. Graphic design can be part of it. But what you want to probably start with is I take elements, a client's content, a client's photos, maybe I source a few photos and I take their brand, I take all of those elements and I create an interface online that is responsive, works great on phones and desktops and tablets, all of the in between. And from there, they have a site that they can share via their URL to potential clients, customers, and everything else. Wow, okay, that is a lot of information. So just pause for a moment. You just took in a lot of information. So those are the main categories. Those are the two main categories for graphic design and website design. Do they overlap? A ton. But one of them is going to spend a lot more time with code, and I'll say code in air brackets because you don't always need code. In today's world, there's a lot of tools that are no code solutions. And then graphic design is much more in tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, Figma, Sketch, possibly even motion if you're doing any type of like animation. After Effects, that's great for motion. And there could even be 3D elements that you could be creating as well with other tools. Now, here are some core recommendations I would say for you if you're trying to make this decision. First of all, really think about the hardest parts of these processes. Number one, for graphic design, the hardest part is creating unique, identifiable, and simple brand elements. Imagine creating logos out of thin air. I'll say thin air again in air quotes, but imagine creating logos for clients that really embody who they are. Do you like that process? Does that process sound like a challenge that you want to take on? Now, talking about website design. Let's say you create a beautiful, simple website, but you need some custom features or some custom settings or some custom layouts. Well, that's where you're going to need to work with code or developers or really have a nitpicky eye to see how to work things to get it exactly the way you want. Does that sound interesting to you? When I first started, I was intimidated by code. I didn't know really how to use code. And over time, I learned how to code CSS, HTML with no problem, understand JavaScript really well. I do not write JavaScript, but I write CSS and HTML. And I learned along the journey. I did not learn before I started. I started designing websites on Squarespace, and then I learned how to code along the way. And now I could sell 5, 10, 15, or even 20K packages without a problem on Squarespace as well. So check out my other videos if you have any questions on that. So the big piece of advice here that I want to give is find which one of those challenges you think you would do better in. Basically, which one would you thrive in? I thrive in the code side of it. Yes, it's annoying. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it gets irritating. But for me, that side of it, I really like when I solve new problems, bring new solutions, and discover new ways to do things with code or customizations or whatever that might be. I do not like trying to think up new characters and animations or icons for clients, that's really cool. I think it's an amazing thing, but I'm not necessarily good at that. And now to go back to the beginning of the video and just say this piece of advice with more clarity, just start. I am a big advocate of just starting. Try to do it on your own even. Maybe design 5 to 10 logos on your own. Imagine a client gave you a brief, or go redesign some brands that you love. Not big brands, don't go try to reinvent Nike. Go reinvent the local cleaners or the local bakery. Give them a brand that is clean and identify what you like about their aesthetic, who they are, and clean it up and make it better. Same with website design. Designing 10 websites is a lot of work, but if you could design 1 to 3, maybe 4 websites and go through the process and try to solve actual problems. I am not a big advocate of making just fake websites because you are not solving a real problem. But at the same time, if you look at businesses and you say, hey, this local bakery, their website sucks, let me make a better website. Go start a demo or a trial on a tool like Squarespace or Wix or whatever you like. Try it out and then go from there. And then just build it out over the demo period, the trial period, and then see how it goes. See how you like the experience. It's going to be exhausting. It's not going to work that great, but see how it goes. If you can push through, that's a really good sign that you can do really well in an industry. If you work on it for 2 to 3 hours and you hate your life afterwards, that's probably a good sign that it's not for you. So do the work, put the time in, see how you feel afterwards, and go from there. I would recommend don't overthink if you're good at it. Just see how you feel afterwards. Did you enjoy it? Was it stressful? Was it fun? Was it exhausting? Did it challenge you? Check out those things, see what works for you, and if at the end you enjoyed it, you're not the best at it, and you want to try again, that's a really good sign. So if you got value from this video, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. And if you want more content just like this, we publish new content 3 times a week, so consider subscribing. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.